All right, guys. So I got quick to ending it. I thought Gary's computer completely crashed, but apparently it didn't. So we're going to jump right back where we were, and we'll try to continue the conversation where we were. Hopefully, we can get back on target. I believe I was asking you about your EDC and what you carry on a daily. Um, so like what your EDC stuff looks like.
So, as far, of course, everybody wants to know weapons. Number one, what I always carry with me, even overseas, is I have a karambit that I carry with me just about everywhere. As far as a knife goes, if you guys have ever had any good training with a karambit, it's probably one of the most effective tools that you can use for self defense outside of a gun. But it takes actually a lot less training. It does take some training, taking some courses with Steve Ronnie. If you guys don't know who Steve Tarani is, look him up. He's actually we've hired him out to come do some courses, and you can get very proficient and be very effective with a karambit. With It's probably one of the most effective tools you can use with the least amount of training. So I always carry that. As far as my EDC firearm goes, this is kind of a newer upgrade. I did a video on this setup. This is a P365 with the 507K optic and the TLR sub 7.
Mhm.
Now, what I was running before this was the standard P365. I carried that for many years. I hate SIG, I really do, but I love the 365 series. Before that, I had several. I actually have three M&P shields. I ran those, and the first time that I reluctantly shot a 365, I was like, man, that's a micro pistol that shoots like a full size gun. So there goes back to the fanboy or even the hater stuff, right? There wasn't much I liked about SIG, but I stayed objective and tried something, and I went with that. The other thing I almost always carry on me is one of two things when it comes to med gear. I try to always carry a product called Battle Wrap, which is basically a pressure dressing that can actually be used as a tourniquet as well. So it's a dual purpose thing, or a RATS, rapid application tourniquet. Um, we do. We're one of the few companies in the country. I think that one of only two in the country that is NAEMT, National Association of Emergency Medical Technician, certified. We're a certified training site, so we provide TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care, Emergency Casualty Care, Traumatic Injury Response. I have several special operations medics on our staff, and we teach those courses. I'm a big advocate of always keeping med gear on you. When you can't carry a firearm, you can carry med gear. When you have a firearm, you should be carrying med gear. So I'm a big advocate of that. I will tell you, this is one of those things where this holster right here, I'm a huge fan of it. And folks, again, if you're interested in it, you can go to our latest video. I went over all of this stuff. But this Warhawk holsters for this, I've been really impressed with this holster. We recently became a dealer for them, but this is a little guy in Arizona that makes these holsters, and they're just phenomenal for what they are. But that's pretty much now overseas. So I do a lot of traveling overseas. I just got back from Ecuador. I'll be going to Amman pretty shortly. I spend probably 40% of my time, 30 to 40% of my time traveling overseas doing security work. And most of those countries, I can't carry a gun. Matter of fact, all of them that I've ever been to, I can't carry a gun. And when I'm there, what I always carry in my pocket is a tack light with my karambit and med gear. So that's my kind of EDC essentials, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, when I actually followed you on Instagram and Facebook, I assumed that you were overseas because I always saw you posting pictures there. Then you were like, "No, I'm in Virginia," and I'm like, "Whoa, you're really not that far away." But I always saw you posting pictures of all the places that you were, so I just kind of assumed that you were overseas all the time. So. I think that's pretty cool though. Like you get to see a lot of the world on other people's paycheck.
Yeah, I do, and unfortunately, it's usually not. It's usually the places most people don't want to go, but I do get to go to nice places from time to time too. So Ecuador's not that bad. As a matter of fact, my favorite trip ever was in Quito, Ecuador. Still, if you ever get to go down to Quito, I think that's one of the coolest places I've ever been to. Guayaquil, which was where I was just recently, it's kind of like the Detroit of South America, but it's still not bad. It's pretty good. But no, I do enjoy traveling. I do get tired of traveling sometimes, but yeah, especially when you're going to places where you can't carry guns, but you still are a believe it or not, I don't blend in very well in the Middle East and Africa where I often travel. I know that's hard to believe, but so I always keep in mind that I am a target. And as a matter of fact, me and a friend got assaulted in Liberia, Africa, back in December. Some Lebanese dudes decided they were going to jump us, and fortunately, they found out that they bit off more than they could chew. But again, you got to get creative with those things and make sure that you always have some sort of tactical advantage in the form of some sort of weapon or improvised weapons. And so, I will say that's one thing. Coming from the background I come in and staying in the world that I live in, it does keep me in that mindset of which I think helps with the training and helps when I'm trying to give people advice and things like that.
So
So
MC throwed a little shade at um Detroit. I don't know if you can read that.
no, I see the comments. Yeah, I was saying that Guayaquil, Ecuador, is like the Detroit of South America. I agree with. So funny enough, for those of you that care to know, so I was actually born in the Detroit area. I still have family up there. My dad still lives up there. I grew up in Southeast Texas though, and every time I talk to my dad, I'm like, Dad, why do you still live there? And every time I go back, I'm like, my God, and I go back very rarely. But I always tell my dad, look, Dad, I've been all over the world, and I've been to Baghdad, Afghanistan, all over Iraq, been all over the Middle East, been all over Africa, and just about every place I've been to, just about has been better than Detroit. I'm like, you can go anywhere and live better than Detroit. So I agree with him completely, even though that I got some roots there.
So I don't know if you've seen Mr. Eagle Run 23's videos or not. Mr. Eagle Run 23 is a faceless man on his Eagle Run 23 stuff. But he's getting very involved in the 8.6 blackout game. And so I'm going to ask your opinions on it. Have you done much research on the 8.6 blackout?
Say that again. You said 8.6 blackout?
Mm-hmm. So it's the
No.
new cartridge that Gorilla is doing with Q.
Nope, this is the first time I'm even hearing of it, man, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. So I brought Mr. Eagle Run's faceless face to the camera on lives when we started doing lives together. So that's why we call him the face of the faceless. Um, but he's got a really good channel. He goes over a lot of um like gardening and firearms component stuff. So it's pretty cool. Um, but if there, I know you don't like SIG. Do you have much experience with Canic or anything like that?
Um, I yeah, I mean, I have some experience with Canic. I think they're good. I don't see how I don't see them as being superior to the M&P or look. I'm not a big fan of Glock either. I own several Glocks. I think they're some of the ugliest guns ever made. But do I also think that they're like the AK-47 of the handgun world? I do. So and look, Sig's making some great stuff. So I don't want to say I don't like Sig. That's probably not fair. I have owned three different P320s in different configurations and got rid of them all eventually. And I also try to order guns, to try out. And again, this is before I had a YouTube channel, but just to try out. And then obviously I'll keep different guns on hand for students too. So I have a whole battery of guns, student guns that consist of different Glocks, different M&Ps. That's kind of what I bought some of the SIGs for to test personally. And then also to, I was actually planning on I got one of their basically competition ready guns, and after I had one of the regular 320s, and I just don't like the bore axis and things like that. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Uh, so as far as Canik and stuff goes, yeah, I've used them, I shot them. I see clients bring them in all the time. They're obviously good guns. Um, I don't necessarily have an itch to dabble in them all that much, to be honest with you. I'm trying to find a good reason. Like, why do I need to switch to Canik when I know, like, I'm a big fan of M&P. That's the gun. The M&P 2.0 is a gun I love. I have, I don't know, 5 or 6 of those. Um, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't see the point in it a lot. But as far as I know, Caniks are good guns, and I've shot a few of them. They shoot great, perform great. I haven't done a lot of testing on them. Um, so that's where we're at in that. And I just subscribed to Eagle Run 2023, so we'll
Mhm.
check out his channel after this for sure.
Yeah. Eagle runs good people. So one of the main questions that I wanted to ask, um, and so I do run Caniks. My all my Keltec sub 2000s, they all run on Canik mags and things like that. Um, so uh, how how key is it for somebody having firearms that multiple platforms can run the same mag? So, i.e., how you've got certain Keltec sub 2000s that can run Glock mags, and you've got AR9s that can run Glock mags, so on and so forth. How important is it in a, let's say, training aspect and also in the real world aspect of having that consistency all the way around?
As far as being able to run same mags and same ammo, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so let's use for an example, you're in a defensive situation, and the guy that you're in this defensive situation with, you're out of ammo, he's not, but his mags will work in yours, and vice versa. Vice, however you skin the cat, either way. Um, how important is that?
Um, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually really pondered this question. Like, I know the guns that I'm going to be running and in what context I'm going to be running, so I make sure I have plenty of mags. I've never really thought about how important it is. For instance, it would be nice if it would even be nice or even a big deal whether or not I had mags that worked in my MMP and my Glock, for instance. I guess that would be convenient. As far as cross platforms, I kind of have a look. Ultimately, we always need to consider a rifle. A rifle is the most lethal firearm. That should be your primary weapon, right? And so, the way I always look at home defense, and I teach as far as training and things like that goes, you know, pistols are nice, but a pistol is used as a convenient way to have a weapon to fight to our rifle. So I guess I just, and I'm not saying it's necessarily even the right mindset, but my mindset is always, hey, I'm getting to my AR. That's my primary, and then I'm running the pistols that I have. So um, I guess my secondary pistol would be the P.0, and then my everyday carry would be this guy. I mean, as long as you have mags on hand, I mean, the reality is you can only carry about 2 different platforms at once, right? So
Yeah.
if I can only carry 2 platforms at once, for the most part, I'm carrying an AR and I'm carrying a full size pistol. Um, So the rest is all about convenience, as long as you have essentially those two things. So I don't think there's a practical advantage necessarily to really think of as far as that's honestly the reason I don't have any 300 black, for instance. For one reason, number one, I have too many guns and training clients and things like that, and I think there's too big a chance of getting a mag full 300 black confused with 5.56. So I just avoided that aspect altogether. So ultimately, I guess my mindset is, which is not going to answer your question all well, is find what works for you, make sure that what works for you, you believe works, and what you've trained with, will know, and then make sure that you're well equipped with those platforms.
Gotcha. Um, so let's use for an example, or not really an example, this is more of another question. So we were talking a little bit earlier about how cheap equipment, cheap mags, things of that nature seem to cause more hindrance in the training world and things of that nature. When one is purchasing, let's say, their first gas rifle, AR, so on and so forth, if they've got the choice between Magpul mags, Lancer mags, and I hate to even say Mission First Tactical because we all know how those are. Let's say Amend, Lancer, and Magpul. They have the choice between those three, but if they buy the Lancer, they can only get two. If they buy the Magpul, they can get three. With the Amend twos, they can get four. What would you tell somebody on that instance? Hey, I can't hear you, Gary.
Sorry, I'm half retarded right now. No, so and I want to apologize to everybody. Usually my soundboard that I normally run everything off is my Roadcaster, and I had to send that back last week. So I'm cobbling together all kinds of different things, and anyways, it's not optimal. So I apologize. But anyways, so to answer that question, I would use an analogy um, that I often use on the range for our clients. And, because I always see people worrying about doing these mag changes, and you'll go down a range and you'll see this. There's always that one guy that's like just sitting there doing mag change after mag change after mag change. And people like to get proficient at mag changes. I'm not saying you shouldn't get proficient at mag changes, but they like to work on mag changes a lot because it looks sexy, right? It feels real sexy if you can get that sub 2 second mag change. Or much less, right? So, people spend a lot of time on that, which kind of coincides with this question. And my answer to both of those would be, number one, I would always go with reliability over quantity. Number two, we need to put into proportion of our mag changes per rounds. So when we think about that, how many mag changes do we do per rounds? So it's 1 to 30. So we should probably, if everything is reliable, I'm going to put the emphasis on the other 30, meaning training, being able to make sure I got good shot placement, making sure I know how to use cover effectively, making sure I use those 30 rounds, because chances are, if I'm good with those 30 rounds, I don't need to rely on that one mag change. So, making sure that your training and even your equipment is proportional to reality. I mean, I'm having a hard time thinking of a scenario in a civilian situation where, anyone would, and I hate to sound like Joe Biden or somebody, you don't need two mags, but in reality, in what situation would you really need 60 rounds? So if I had a choice between all those, I would buy the two Lancer mags. Again, I've done extensive testing on Lancers versus Magpuls and I got a video on that too. Lancers, in my opinion, right now are the best mags out there, the most reliable, most durable. Those steel feed lips, you don't cause malfunctions. I've had nothing but good luck in testing on those. And if you come to one of our course events, and today and yesterday was a good example of that, where I was talking about the problems that I've had with Magpul. I'm not poo-pooing on Magpul, but 90% of the problems that we see with magazines on the range are with Magpul magazines. They flex, they have issues. Are they better than the original GI mags? Yeah, they are. Are they cheap and lightweight? Yeah, they are. Are they mostly reliable? Yeah, they are. But without a doubt, Lancer, or if you get into the H&K steel mags, those are really good too. But of course, they're heavy and expensive, so there's downsides to that too. But to answer your question, for that reason, I would always go with what is reliable. I'd rather have two of something reliable than three of something that's questionable.
I I agree with you there. Um, the reason why I was mentioning those three, I've done a lot of testing with those three separate um mags, and I've had issues with all of them. I'm not going to say one's been better than the other and one's been worse than the other because they've all had their niches at times. I do prefer the Lancers personally with the still feed lips. I mean, if I'm at a 3-gun match and I drop it and I step on it, I'm not going to break it. I'm going to bend a steel lip and I can normally bend it back with a case and it's good to go there. Um, so Alex Duke is asking what your website is, and is it Paramount Tactical Solutions.com?
No, it's just ParamountTactical.com.
Okay, so does that answer your question, Alex? So I think that's about it. I'm gonna ask one question and then we'll get out of here. I know you're tired. You're over an hour ahead of me, so I know you're tired. You look tired. One piece of advice to end the chat with and call it a day.
Yeah. I thought you were going to ask a question. I was waiting for a question. Piece of
Well,
advice. You know what? I'll give the same piece of advice I give at the end of all our videos. Man, guns and gear is great, but what really matters is training. So, get competent training. And I promise you, we provide that. Go to ParamountTactical.com. Go check out our upcoming training schedule. We'd love to have you out. We'd love to meet you in person. We'd love to train with you. All of our instructors, or at least most of our instructors, are former special operations, including myself. All of our instructors are required to have operational experience, so they know what they're talking about from an operational standpoint, but all of them are also professional federal law enforcement accredited instructors. They currently train tactical teams. Is what they do for a living. It's not a hobby or something they just like to do on the weekends. They didn't attend a 4-hour NRA course or suddenly ominous dominus. They can speak from experience, and that instructor experience, being able to relay and to talk through and to get people from point A to point B much quicker. I think is something that you need to experience. And again, whether it's us or somebody else, get competent instruction. I think what I just laid out is a good litmus test for that. Have you done this in real life? Do you know what you're talking about? Do you have operational experience? And then have you had full-time operational instructional experience? I'm not saying that there's people out there that don't teach on the side that aren't good at it, but generally not. No, there are exceptions to the rule. So get instruction. Everybody wants to spend time and money on gear, and gear is great. Gear can help, but you got to be able to use that. And we can take you and your gear and make them both much better. And that's really what matters the most.
all right. Well, guys, we appreciate Gary's time and appreciate having Gary out on the channel. I appreciate you having you out. It's been fun chat. It's been a great chat. But guys, we're gonna actually get out of here this time. So
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. We'll do this again. Hopefully next time my internet doesn't crap out on us, and I'll have a little bit better audio setup. But again, I appreciate everybody watching, and feel free to check out our channel. We'd love to have you on there as well. And I'm here. I can't always do this every time, but next time you want to do it, let me know, and we'll try to set something up again sometime soon.
all right. Well, I'll catch you on the backside real quick.
Sounds good. All right, man. Thanks again, and everybody be safe and have a great week.